What's up guys, Heat King here bringing you the latest review on Attack on Titan chapter 91. This will also be an analysis video as well because there's so much to talk about with this new chapter being released and it's a woozy. Okay, what I mean by that is it's unexpected. I mean, I don't think we would get this kind of chapter, but here we go, here it is, here's the chapter. And yeah, it's very unexpected because we left last chapter with a 6-month time skip and with pretty much a lot of the story elements concluded regarding Eren and his friends' character arcs. They defeated the Titans on the island, they managed to find out about the entire history, they spread it around the walls to everyone, so everyone now knows the true history whether they believe it or not. And they finally got, they managed to get to the ocean. So really, it's like we're reaching the finale, the end. And then we get this chapter, and it's like, oh boy, it feels like there's a lot more left to tell now because this chapter, Isayama, man, I didn't think he would do this, but we get introduced to a new bunch of new characters. And we get introduced to the final remaining Titan shifters, or what they're called, etc, etc. And it's all from the perspective of the Marlene, okay? Like, we were with those guys on an island, and now we're across the ocean. I believe that's what this chapter is also called, Across the Ocean. Last chapter ended with Eren pointing his hand across the ocean, saying that the enemies were there. And we begin with this chapter with those said enemies, with the Elordians, or how you call them, with a bunch of child Elordian characters fighting for the Malamian army against this new enemy that I don't think we've ever been told about. But yeah, it's very unprecedented, it's very unexpected, because who thought we would get this kind of chapter? And it kind of makes sense as well, because if we're going to be going into this final battle with Marlene, we need to understand who the Marlene are. We need to understand who the people are that Eren and the others are going to be coming over to fight. So yeah, like I said, it's a nice way to get character development on the enemy side, so we can maybe kind of get some emotions going and understand where everything is, because you can't just have Eren and them not coming to Marlene and start breaking shit up without first getting to know your enemy, right? So yeah, I think this is kind of an interesting turn of events for Isayama to do this, but at the same time it makes me wonder how much longer does this manga have left, because apparently he confirmed that he was going to end this with volume 27, which would put it roughly around almost at 110 chapters with at the end of 2018. But now with this chapter though, I feel like this is the beginning of something new. Like, this is like, it's like the kind of thing you expect from a sequel. Like, part 1 ends and then part 2 begins, and that's what this chapter feels like. It feels like the beginning of a part 2 arc or something. And like I said, like when I read this, I was just like, what? What? So yeah, we get introduced to these bunch of characters. First off, I have to say about the symbolism, right? Last chapter ended, like I said, Eren pointing across the ocean. This chapter begins with this young kid, right, waking up and looking up at this eagle that's flying in the sky above him, and he's reaching out his hand, and it's almost sort of basically similar to the opening of Attack on Titan chapter 1, with Eren waking up and looking up at the sky, looking up at the walls and stuff, looking at the freedom, like how they're caged animals, like they're birds in a cage, trapped in a cage. And the symbolism here is sort of the same thing, because he's looking up at this character. He's called Falcon. Yeah, Falcon. He could be called anything else. He has to be called Falcon or Falcon, whatever. It's like, wow, symbolism there, right? And he's looking at this eagle and he's like, fly away to free them, etc, etc. And that's what the symbolism is there. And also the contrast, because you get a lot of characters that are very similar to a lot of the characters from the original characters, basically. What I mean by this is you've got this one character that looks exactly like Hanji, except they're a male character, and then you've got another character that looks like a female version of Eren, attitude and personality and everything being sort of the same. And then you've got another character that looks like Elwin and Sean and etc, etc. It's just like, what's with the similar drawings and shit? But yeah, we get introduced to this character Falcon, and he gets rescued by the other kids, and he has to get told what's going on because he's hit his head hard, or he's been hit. We don't know what's going on, but he's obviously suffered some sort of major trauma, and he's getting detailed on what's going on. And he gets rescued by his older brother, as well, who's called Colt, and they're in this battle against the Middle Eastern Union, this war basically. and it's meant to be a slave factory. And at the same time, on the sea, because we can see that there's naval ships and that, and they're the Marlene naval ships. They can provide cover and that, right? And provide cover, find stuff, but they're not doing shit. They're just staying there and letting these guys do it. The Marlene are basically using the Eldorians as their main troop unit, and they're sending them out to die instead of them sending out their own troops. At the same time, it's revealed that this is actually, in fact, a test as well. So it's like killing two birds with one stone, because this test is meant to kind of confirm, or it's basically to test who will become the next candidate for the Armored and Beast Titans. So yeah, before anyone loses their shit, no, Reyna and Zeke are obviously not dead, but why would they be doing this, right? Why get a new candidate? Is it because they flopped? Well, no, it's because we find out that there's been a massive time skip, basically, yeah. So remember how last chapter was like 6 months, right? And it was revealed to be like 1 year since the Battle at Tross, since the Colossal Titan broke the wall on Tross and all that shit happened. That was all in the margin of a year, right? Space of a year. The battle that takes place here, I believe, is 4 years after that. Okay, so yeah, a 4-year time skip. We have a 4-year time skip. At least I think it's a 4, because they say 9 years since the failed operation. And if we think about it, when the actual war itself was destroyed, right? Eren said he would join the Soviet Corps in a year's time. So that means that we are past, and then his training took 3 more years after that. And then the chapter that we had last month, which took 6 months after that, after all that ordeal and that, was like a year since the Battle of Tross. So that's 5 years. And this chapter then begins 4 years after that, because you've got these guys saying it's been 9 years since that operation began. Unless this operation began further back as well, because so there's, you know, we don't really know the whole confirmation. It could be a case where maybe Reyna, Annie, Bertold, and this Marcel character who's never been really developed, they were injected maybe a few years before all of those events, and now it's kind of like linking to that, like it's all taking place in present time, or it is indeed a 3-year time skip. I would have to say it probably is, because we do see a character later on that may or may not be an older Reyna, but for now, let's just focus on this. So these guys, these kids that we're getting introduced to, are pretty much sort of carbon copies, again with the symbolism of our original characters and heroes. They're being tested while at the same time having to take out this Middle Eastern enemy. And these guys, they have like train cannons, like they got trains with cannons on top of them, and they got guns and shit, and they're shooting at them. And these guys, they got nothing, they've only got these Titans with them. And we get a confirmation who possibly the last 2 Titans are, because if you remember the Marlene people, they're supposed to have 7 of the Titans out of the 9 Titans, right? And the last 2 apparently are called the Mule Titan and the Jaw Titan. The Mule Titan, I imagine, is that Titan thing that we had that was with Zeke during the last arc, and everyone kept theorizing that maybe this is a Titan shifter, because he could talk and he did a lot of shit as well. I mean, he ended up saving Zeke from Levi, and he ended up saving Reyna as well. So you know, the assumption was that this dude is a Titan shifter, and it seems to be the case, because they do refer to him as the Mule Titan. Now we don't see this character, but they do say Mule Titan. And then of course there's the Jaw Titan, who we get introduced to at the very end of this chapter, and he's called Galalard or something to that effect. But yeah, Mule Titan and Jaw Titan. So let's count this up, yeah? These are the Titans that we know now, because this pretty much means that we've gone through all of them. The Marlene had the Colossal, the Female, the Armored, the Beast, the Mule, the Jaw, and then whatever Titan was Marcel's before he got eaten by Ymir. Now Ymir is not mentioned in this chapter, but I assume that when she ate Marcel, she ended up getting his Titan shifter powers, which would probably be the Dancing Titan, as everyone likes to refer to. And then we got the 2 other Titans, which was the Attacking Titan and the Progenital / Coordinate Titan powers or whatever, which now Eren is in possession of. And then of course, we break it down now, you've got Armin who's in possession of the Colossus, and they also have captured the Female. So that's about 3 or 4 Titan shifter powers on the Paradise Island side, and then you've got the other 5 here with them possessing the Armored, the Beast, the Mule, the Jaw, and potentially the Dancing Titan. Until we get a confirmation of who that really is, we won't really know. But yeah, it's a very interesting development at the same time, because I didn't think we would get introduced to these characters so soon, especially with the fact that I had a theory, maybe that the last 2 Titans were already on Paradise Island, and it would be a big twist being revealed that maybe these were the bad guys. But no, that doesn't seem to be the case now. So yeah, that goes out the window then, unfortunately. But still, it's a nice confirmation that yeah, the mule thing that we presumed was a Titan shifter is indeed one of the Titan shifters. Still, it's a weird ass ability to have, but then again, the dude was fast and he was carrying all that shit, so I guess he's more of a stealth Titan and carrier Titan than being a fighting sort of Titan. And then of course for the Jaw Titan, yeah, we don't really, obviously we just got introduced to him, so obviously next chapter we're probably going to go into more detail of this character. But yeah, so far very interesting developments. So first off, the Jaw Titan, as its name suggests, we get introduced to this guy towards the very end when the Marlene officer that's with all of the others, he's pretty much leading the attacking group, but he's not going on the front lines. And he's shouting for Get-A-Lot to get his ass in there, like after the weapon, the train with the cannon top, has been destroyed by one of the cadets. And basically what happens is the girl character, who looks like a female version of Eren, I think her name is Gabby, she ends up taking off her uniform, right? She has to get proper permission and make up this kind of excuse how, you know, they can just sacrifice her because they don't, you know, since they don't want to sacrifice 800 others just to destroy this one thing. So she goes out with this plan, right? And that this, you know, she wants to show her potential. She wants to become a warrior, and you can kind of see the brainwashing these guys have gone through, because they even refer to the people on Paradise Island as you know, as devils and sinners, and that they need to go there and wipe them out, etc., etc., because it will be good for them. It will make them look good towards the Marlenes, etc., etc. So you can kind of get the idea of what's going on here, but it's kind of screwed up how twisted they are. It's almost like Zeke, who was or was not brainwashed, but I guess this is what it is. It's a brainwashing on the next level. I mean, they don't know the truth. They don't know the actual truth. So it's really sad to see this and see, you know, how they're being used for this kind of war, like just like slaves. But yeah, she ends up having this decent, good idea actually, and she goes out. She takes off her uniform first, obviously, and she goes out with her dynamite strapped on her leg, and she's just carrying that and walking slowly towards this bunker, right? And the soldiers in the bunker, like there's an international law where they cannot shoot civilians, and because she doesn't have a uniform, they're not too sure if she's a civilian or not, so they hesitate a few seconds too late to shoot her, and she ends up collapsing anyway, which is a trick because she ends up getting the dynamite off her leg and spinning and throwing at the bunker towards the train track, and this causes the train with the cannon on top, basically a train cannon, to blow up and collapse on top of the bunker. So yeah. And it's explained that these cannons can take out Titans. That's why they don't send out the Mule and the Jaw Titan, who apparently are there. We don't really see who it is, but apparently they are there. And Gabby and the other kids, they're competing. They're being tested to become the Armor Titan, while Colt is being tested to become the Beast Titan. Obviously, these guys probably aren't aware of the fact that in 30 years' time, they will end up having to give their powers away and die. And this is pretty much what it is, because if it is 4 years after, right, it seems to sort of match up with the timing, because if you think about it, if Reina and the others were injected with the Titan serum, they would have been injected to a point where they would have to have time to train. So that means properly their training as Titans properly began a few years before them coming there and destroying the walls, obviously. So yeah, in a way, the timing would properly match up with it now, meaning that their time is pretty much running out. And these guys are now being thrown in to defeat this enemy, this Middle Eastern enemy, who I believe is meant to be this other fraction that was probably hinted at by Kruger in the previous chapters in the flashbacks. And these guys are going in to take this enemy out, and at the same time they're trying to prove themselves to be worthy to become Titan shifters, so they can go to Paradise Island. Speaking of Paradise Island, like I said, we get, when they're talking about Paradise Island, we get this overhead shot of what is meant to be the island, I presume. And then we go on to this plane or ship or whatever. I assume it's a plane, because this character, the one character that stands out, appears to be wearing a parachute. And this character, he's got a beard and a goatee and everything, and he looks, at least from the side, he looks like an older Reina. He's even got the Jewish kind of, the badge thing, the Elodian badge basically. And yeah, if that is Reina, and there is a parachute on him, it means that these guys are going to Paradise Island to assault it, maybe. Or maybe they got another mission ahead, because apparently the plan to retake the island to get the coordinate was postponed after their failure, obviously, after they lost the Colossal and Female Titan. And then they had to deal with this enemy. So obviously the Marlenes are losing their resources very fast, and that's why they want to get the coordinate, so they can deal with these enemies. And there's potentially other enemies as well, so you got to think, like, who else is out there who wants to kick the Marlenes' asses, right? And these guys are also aware that the Marlenes have Titans on their side. So yeah, it's a lot of shit is going on, and it's crazy how the world is starting to open up now, because it's really funny that we spent chapters, right, on an island. We assumed there was nothing else out there, and now we're here on the other side, across the ocean, as it says, on the mainland. And there's other fractions of humanity, and they're just warring with each other, trying to get their resources and shit. So it's crazy to think about that. I mean, who would have thought this is where the story was gonna go? Like, seriously, Isayama, man, he gets towards the end, and he's like, let me throw this crap in there now, and it's like, what? So is Attack on Titan gonna end anytime soon or not? Because I'm starting to think it's not. Like I said, this feels like the beginning of a part 2 or something to that case, or it could just be a case that this is the beginning of the final arc, and that's what this is all about, developing these characters who are going to be very instrumental in towards the end of the final battle, and also getting introduced to the finding out who the final 2 Titans are as well at the same time. But yeah, very interesting development here. So yeah, overall, what happens in this chapter then at the end? Like I said, Gabby destroys the train tracks, train falls on bunker, she starts running back for her, Falcon tries to save her, and then Galalite, who we don't know who it is, he comes in, having properly transformed into the Jaw Titan, and he rushes up to that bunker and smashes it into pieces, and that's how that chapter ends, with the Jaw Titan being unleashed and kicking ass. And now it's just a case of waiting for the next chapter to come out and seeing where this goes, because now we need to get a development of these characters, and we need to get a good understanding as to where all these characters are and what the goals and plans are now, and whether or not that was Reina, because I've got a Ton, what are we doing? So yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, the assumption is that that is Reina at the moment on this ship, whatever. So, but yeah, my theory is that maybe it may not be Reina. It could have been Galalade, maybe jumping down. It could be him. The Jaw Titan could have been that dude, but he looks a bit too similar to Reina for it to be him. But it could be a case that it was, and he jumped down using a parachute onto the enemy there to transform. But that might not be the case, because again, there's a lot going on in this chapter, and it all happens way too fast. And for the most part, it's a lot of talking and establishing and figuring out what the hell's going on in the history right now and the timeline. But yeah, very unexpected. So yeah, let's just count it down then. We got a 4-year time skip. We get introduced to these carbon opposite copies of our heroes, who are probably going to be the villains or the bad guys our heroes are going to probably potentially take on and fight during the final battle, because that's probably what they represent. And we get introduced to the final. We find out that there's a Mule Titan, which could very well be that Titan shift, and we get introduced to the Jaw Titan, the final Titan. We still don't know what's happened to Ymir. We don't know what's happened to Zeke, because obviously Colt, Falcon's older brother, is a candidate to become the Beast Titan. So obviously something's going on with Zeke, something's gone wrong maybe, or maybe not. Maybe still being used, we don't know. Maybe he's been in prison, God knows. And Ymir, nothing's been confirmed on what's happened to Ymir. We don't know maybe if someone's already taken a shift of powers, or maybe if something else has happened. Hey, it could even be a case where maybe Ymir was the Mule Titan, and after she got sent back, they whoever it was took her powers and they became the Mule Titan instead. Because like, it could be the case actually, because I don't know, Dancing Titan, Mule Titan, I don't know. I mean, we still need no confirmation if that's what she was meant to be, but like at the same time, there's nothing there. So I'm wondering what's going on here. We still obviously need a flashback detailing who Marcel was as well, but for now, yeah, overall, it's a good chapter definitely, but at the same time it leaves you wanting more, and that's going to be the hard part, having to wait another bloody month for the next chapter to come out to see the storyline continue now, because again, very unexpected. I didn't think Isayama would do this, but he has, and it's obviously either a sign that he's extending the manga, or it's a sign that it is coming towards the end, and now we're gonna potentially get development on these characters who are obviously going to be taking on the others. So yeah, very interesting to see. Of course, this also means that if it obviously is a 4-year time skip. Okay, what am I saying? Obviously, since it is a time skip, it means that Armin has probably already mastered his colossal Titan powers. But this also means that Eren, and you know, he's only got about 4 more years to live. So, and Armin obviously has 9 more years. So yeah, big contrast there, and very screwed up as well. But it makes you wonder how far those guys have come. And if that is Reyna on a plane or something, about to parachute down to Paradise Island, it makes you wonder what their mission is. Are they going to be going down there to infiltrate it? What's going on? And the Marlines also have naval ships and shit, so why aren't they sending that there to take on those guys? So many questions, so many things going on, so little time. It's just all piling up now, and it's driving me insane. But yeah, like I said, very unexpected chapter. And it's just like the potential now, the potential for the world building and for the build up to the climax now. I mean, that's what it feels like we're getting at now. But this also makes me wonder about season 2 of the anime. We're going to be getting that next month on the 1st of April, or the 5th of April, I believe. No, 1st of April, I believe it was. April Fools. Wow, what a perfect day to release her, right? But it makes me wonder how many arcs we're going to get now, because it's pretty obvious at this point that they're going to adapt the Clash of the Titans and the Uprising arc. This would mean that they would have to leave the return to Shingagunshi or Trost or whatever for season 3, along with the basement / flashback arcs. And they could probably potentially get that adapted for 2018 then, in which case, because if this is going to end in 2019, I don't know, it's so confusing now, because like, the longer the manga gets, the more longer we'll probably have to wait for another season. And then there's the big if that it's a big if we'll even get another season. It all depends how well season 2 does, and hopefully it does very well, because I really want to see this stuff animated now. Like, it's crazy, it's so crazy, but oh, the potential, man. Anyway, guys, very good chapter on Attack on Titan. I can't wait for next month, and I hope you guys enjoyed my review and discussion on it. And as always, like and subscribe, whatever, and I shall see you when I shall see you. Take care, and bye.